So I'm going to now introduce Davy. So Davy Snowdon MBE is a former weightlifting world record holder and Olympic strength and conditioning expert who has served as a national coach for the British weightlifting team. As the founder and CEO of Pristine Condition International Limited, he has revolutionized manual handling training, achieving unprecedented injury reduction across global industrial and commercial sectors. For his significant contributions to the health and well-being of the nation, he was awarded an MBE in 2014 by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, which is hugely impressive. Davy, over to you.
Thank you, Louise. And what was really interesting to see was that a couple of people joined from Newcastle. So I've got the confidence in the world that there's at least two can understand Geordie. So that's a cracking start. If anybody else doesn't understand it, I'm sure we'll get some translations coming through. But I'd like to share a journey we've been on for it's 30 years this year now. So what it was, was when it comes to health and safety, if you're in health and safety, you kind of understand it. And I'm sure most people watching this webinar are in it and understand it. But what we found was when you go to the cold face, there's such a disconnect. And when you think about, if you look at today now, right, the pressures that are on domestic life, the significant strain on finances, all the cost of living's gone up, pressures of relationships, the waiting list for anything you want to do and anywhere you're going. Then you go to work and businesses have got these financial constraints as well. So they might have to do it in short, there might be time constraints in that. And people have got this job and they go, hey, I've got my job. I don't want to change. I don't want any more pressures. I'm just about coping. And we come along and start talking about health and safety. And they go, what? That's health and safety's department, isn't it? They do that. I'm all right. I'm okay. And that disconnect is something we've been able to bridge and so proud of it for nearly 30 years now. But it actually happened by mistake, and I'd love to share that journey with you. My background was weightlifting, and I got back from Atlanta in 1996, the Olympics. And our centre of excellence is Bisham Abbey, Marlow, down in Buckinghamshire. And there was a massive paper mill across the river. And the biggest cause of their accidents was through lifting and handling. And someone says, why don't you get that world record weightlifter to come and have a look? I said, well, I'd love to. So I went waltzing into this paper mill and it was like a time warp. There's these big rollers going round and steam coming out. And I remember saying, I haven't got a clue what you're doing here. But walked around the corner and saw this guy picking up a chunky piece of equipment, which I now know is a cord dog going in the end of the big reels. And I says, well, no wonder you're getting injuries, he's picking that up wrong. What do you mean? They said, he's bending his legs to keep his back straight. I says, well, which idiot told him to do that? I had no idea there's regulations. I says, can I have a chat with him? And he says, yeah, fill your boots. So, mate, would you humour me? Show me how you pick that up again, would you? And I let him get it 4 inches off the ground. I said, stop, stay still. Do you feel any discomfort here, here, and here? He looked at me and said, every day, mate. Put it down, I said. I changed one hand and 1 foot position. I says, pick it back up now. Got him to the same 4 inches, paused him again and said, I bet you don't feel the discomfort now though, do you? And if I never moved from this spot again, he put it down, he stood up, he said, do you know, mate, I've worked here 16 bleep years and that's the first bleep thing that bleep has made sense, bleep, bleep. The union goes, shall we walk on, Davy? See, I wasn't looking at what he was doing as a job. I hadn't got a clue what it meant. I was looking at the body. See, all the time I was involved in weightlifting, I wanted to understand what weightlifting was. And I used to always say to the coach, that first movement, easing the bar backwards, seems so, why, coach, why? So I studied the history of Olympic weightlifting coaching, and it took us back to the 1600s when Richard Joy was doing strongman feats for King William III, and all the scientific changes in weightlifting to the modern day, because it's now considered to be anatomically and mechanically perfect, and studying the human body at the same time. So when I went in this paper mill, I looked at the muscles in the body, which were working in which plane and axis, pressures on it, and I'm just trying to do the science of weightlifting to take the pressure off the body, doing the job they were doing. But you know, the biggest benefit of all wasn't even that. It was the fact that the guy could physically feel the difference, and there entered the change. I mean, when we talk about changing habits, behaviour change, culture shifts, and all of these words, we've been banging this drum for year after year, decade after decade, but we've got to understand people don't want to change. This is my comfort zone. Leave me alone. I'm happy with this. Why do I have to do that? I've got to find a new skill. There's nothing focuses the mind like pain. This, guys, that hurts me. I can feel a discomfort. That don't. I remember one time we were working on the railways, and there was a foreman down there, strapping, massive guy was. His name was Mike, and he's laying troughing down by the side. But it's a bit like a 4 foot concrete trough by a foot that they put the cables in, laying hundreds and hundreds of meters of it. And he's like this, eyebrows like that. I've done this job for 16 years. What's they going to teach me? But don't want to teach you now, Mick. Can I have a go? Lay 20, 30 meters with him. I noticed you're doing that different, mate. I says, yeah, I'm inside base, you're outside. I says, I tell you what, let's not lay the next one. Let's just keep a hold of it. So, okay, paused. He actually started shaking after about 20 seconds. The pressure was that much on the body. Try it my way. Is there a difference? Wow. That was discomfort. That wasn't. Do you know it's the best behaviour change program you will ever get? Nothing focuses the mind like pain. And what we found was another human trait came into it. People want to be associated with something that's successful. So all of a sudden you had all these myths and fallacies like wear a belt to support your back. It doesn't, never has done, never will. It's not what it's there for. It's actually for the abdominal muscles, for when you're lifting. So you bring another muscle group into play to exert more force. You lift wrong, you can wear 20 belts, it ain't going to support it. You're going to get hurt. Fact. And this buy-in, I can feel a difference. So all of a sudden, this guy there who was with the railway, we went down to work with some signallers, came back 5 hours later. He's given a team talk to his group. I've done this for 16 years, and I'm telling you, this is the way we lay troughing. It's what we said 5 hours earlier. It was brilliant. See, another problem you've got in the industry is you don't want to be picked on or you don't want to be singled out. So if I'm going to start a new job and I've got someone I'm going to be working with, I don't want to be picked on by them. So I'll copy what they do. The biggest problem with lifting and handling in the industry is the body doesn't tell you when you lift wrong. Hasn't got that set up. It only tells you when you've lifted wrong too many times. And we get all sorts of conjecture involved in that as well, because people say, I hurt my shoulder picking up a remote control. I hurt the lower back doing this. I feel a pull in the chest. It's not that, that's the final straw. It's all the other things that were being done that leading up to it, the straw that breaks it comes back. So when you're investigating this in business, you go, well, the injury happened there, but the cause of it could have been here, here, and here. And that's what you can address when you know what you're talking about with. And what was really interesting was, because the body doesn't tell you, this conjecture comes in, I'm copying what my colleague's doing, and all of a sudden you get incorrect techniques self-perpetuating throughout the business. And therefore, with that, the increased injuries. But all of a sudden, we've got one of the biggest culture changes ever. managing it by pain. That hurts me, that doesn't. I'll do it that way. This feels great. I'm going to share this with colleagues, and you get correct techniques self-perpetuating throughout the business. And with that alone, we were getting 50% reduction as a minimum in organizations we're going into. It is incredible. So one of the biggest things is take the pressure off the body. Look at the body, not the job. What was really fascinating for me was I remember when I started off and speaking with a load of sort of insurance companies and things like that. And they said, but you're just a weightlifter. Love it. Thanks, mate. Yeah, great. Fast forward 15 years, you're now running sessions with the HSE, and it's actually now being scientifically proven as actual factual advice. And I mean, the amount of court cases we've won, because you can't argue with science and you can't argue with facts. It's not my opinion. But the biggest thing is the delivery. And that's where I like to give people some advice on in the journey that we've shared is it's all about the delivery. See, so many people will come in and start doing some types of training things is you've got to base it on the end user. Because so all of ours is practically based. If you go into an organisation where there's a 3-foot ditch and 6 inches of water where they work, guess where we do the training? In that 3-foot ditch, in that 6 inches of water. There was a great one when we were working with an electrical company, and imagine 170 feet in the air, right? You're on a platform 2 foot wide, 15 foot long. You've got a 30-kilo clip, and you've got to put it on the cable there. Then you've got to put the next one on the next cable, and it's out there. Now, we all know 10 kilo here is like 40 kilo there. 30 kilo here, 120 kilos worth of pressure on the body. Wow. One of their biggest causes of injuries. This is where you could bring Olympic weightlifting into it, you see, because there's 4 key principles you can apply to anything, which is now being proved to take 70% pressure off the body every day. See, when you're lifting, the highest you can pull a bar is you drive it, you bring it up, and you go on your toes and shrug your shoulders. That's the highest level I can bring the bar. To drop underneath and catch that, it's not high enough. But when you're pulling it, you drive with power, which is strength times speed. So even though you stop, the bar continues to rise because you've created the momentum. That's the same thing we did in this platform. We got this 30-kilo clip. It's all tethered on and everything. It's got to be that high in the air. And it's a little dip and a drive. Bam! And that little power, that explosive movement, you still had a hold of the clip, but you didn't have any weight of it. Straight over, zip. The guy goes, "Give it a go, Davy." "Well, where have you been the last 10 years? We go sick when we get this job," he says. So what we did was we just videoed that, and he passed that principle on to the workforce. They went over 22 months without a single incident, and they were hemorrhaging 6 or 7 a month. That's Olympic weightlifting into industry. But the guys could feel it. They want to pass those principles on. So all of a sudden, when you're running manual handling courses, and then instead of people coming in like this, "Heard it all before, mate, can't be bothered, this is boring, I want to get out of here." This is practical. I want it, I can feel it, it's going to make a difference to me. And I think one of the biggest breakthroughs that went through, which people should think about, how do you take the principles home? Because you don't stop lifting just because you stop working. So we do little video clips, little skill bite clips, we call them a good, bad scenario. You know, how to put the shopping in the boot of a car, access and egress, handling the body weight, the dog food, putting the kids in, I almost said the kids in the boot of the car there. No, don't do that. Put the kids in the back seat. You know, but small children in the kiddies' chairs in the back of the car. Then all of a sudden people thinking, hang on, this is about me. and you watch their culture change towards safety, I mean, it's all about having skin in the game. What difference is that going to make to me? I ain't going to get hurt, and I can feel a difference. I'm in. I'm in. This is great for me. So what we did is we do a version of Train the Trainer, and we call it POPs. Forgive me for this. It's called Passing on the Principal Staff. It's one of the programs we do where we have our own media team. We video the 4 key Olympic principles and show the staff in their working environment how to put the principles into practice, take the pressure off the body. And we train the in-house trainers. So all of a sudden, instead of becoming a trainer which is the almighty, the all-knowing, you become a coach. And then as a coach, you go, hey, there's a new concept now, born out of Olympic weightlifting for manual handling. Have a look at this. You show the video, shows the principles, how to go into their department so you can departmentalize it. Let's go and have a look. And then all of a sudden the trainer has got the video with exactly what right and wrong, tiny little skill by clip looks like. So there's your measure. And it's all about the sustainability as well. So when you think about it is, do you know the amount of times I've gone in organisations and you've got to wear high visibility waistcoat, going airside or something like that as a prime example, warehouses. Sometimes you put a shirt and tie on, right, and leave the high vis off and walk in there. You know you last about 0.01 of a second. But guess who challenges you? It ain't the board of directors. It ain't the health and safety team. It ain't the supervisors or managers. It's the workers themselves that they're cold faced. Excuse me, mate, you need a high vis on here. Why do they do that? They do that because they've got such confidence with the knowledge that they'll be backed up by the management team that this is what you need to do, and I can see it as clear as day. So I will challenge a complete stranger, especially if you've got a shirt and tie on. They say, oi, you need high vis. What are we doing about incorrect lifting? Because that is not the last line of defense. That's a guaranteed injury eventually. The problem was the knowledge. So what we do with this scientifically proved knowledge is we'll show them exactly what correct technique and incorrect technique looks like, but on any smartphone or tablet. So you can actually have it on your hip. So you can pick the phone up and go number 23. There's a 15-second clip and going, excuse me, mate, can you have a look at this? Could you do it like that for me, please? Knowledge is king. Then you couple that with people can physically feel a difference. Oh, what a win-win-win that becomes. And all of a sudden, correct technique is now self-perpetuating. The morale is boosted. How to take the principles home. And people are going, this is great. At all levels. And that's the way you tackle one of the biggest causes of accidents within the industry. Manual handling, because it's always up there with slips, trips and falls, which I know Christian's going to have a chat with later on about the slips, trips. And then it's about how you sustain it. You know, you can do back to work interviews, but that knowledge, that feeling, what we found is because of the success in lifting and handling, people have come to us and said, what else do you do? Because here's your big thing, right? How do you deliver the message? It's got to be at the end user. And Billy Connolly gave me a great tip. I was watching one of his sketches. If anybody doesn't know who Billy Connolly is, he's one of my most favourite comedians in the world. And I'm watching this clip, and he's doing the one where he said he was driving down the motorway, and he got caught short. He wanted to pull in the services to go to the loo. And he was going through number 2. So he went in there, and the place was heaving. It was full. But there was one cubicle right at the end, which was empty. And he walked in and it was absolutely as clean as a whistle. Oh, this is great, he said. Then he realised why. There was no lock on the back of the door. And and he just couldn't reach the door. It kept swinging open. So he said, I had to get me timing right for sitting down and shutting the door to try. And I'm crying with laughter. I'm in absolute tears because it happened to me and I could relate to it. And I'm absolutely all over the place in tears on this floor. And if you can make your safety training relative, wow, now you've got it. And so what we've done is we look at other subjects. And one of the programs we do is we talk about the culture shift, the 12-month campaign. Because I'm a great believer in if you want to change someone's culture or get them to change a habit, you've got to have a drip feed. If you just go power training, that's it, they'll go best training in the world, mate, cracking, but they will drift. But if you can drip feed it. So what we do over a period of 12 months for like every month or bi-monthly, we do a little video clip and it's about culture. And it's all about shortcuts. You see, because if you look at accidents and incidents, one of the things you've got to, hey, Pops coach, Becca, lovely to see you, mate. If you think about accidents and incidents, one of the problems you've got is somewhere always someone's took a shortcut, right? You have a look at it. And I kind of get it in a way because a lot of our jobs can be repetitive per day, per week. You know, same horse, different jockey, slight change here, slight change there. So what we do, we get a little bit overconfident. And because we get overconfident, we'll take a shortcut. But you get away with it. So what do? You take it again. Then you take it again. And then you elongate your shortcut. Then your mate sees you do it. So that's a cracking idea, Davy. I'll do that as well. I've got these time pressures of life, take it off it. Brilliant. What they don't understand is what a lot of people on this webinar do understand is you've got risks out there that a lot of them you can't get rid of. So you've got to manage the risk. So we do risk assessments. We put safe systems of work in place, which reduces down to an acceptable level. Every single time they're taking that shortcut, they're increasing the risk of an injury. We've got it where we call it like a spinning a roulette wheel. And we put the roulette wheel in the video and you land it in the black. So you keep going, keep going. But make no bones about it, sooner or later, you're going to land in that red. And you say to them, here, question. And you can put this on the video to them before you get stuck into the meat of it. And you go, would you spin that roulette wheel for a loved one? Of course you wouldn't. One of your kiddies, grandkiddies, parents, partner, there's no way you'd spin that wheel for them, would you? So how do you think they feel you spinning the wheel for you? Let's have a look at some of these shortcuts and how we're going to stop changing them. And it's little skill bite clips, bang, 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 a bit like an extended TikTok, if you like. And you should see the faces of people. Oh my gosh, I do that. I've done that. You're making it relative. But you're reminding them of the consequences and how we come together as one team to stop taking shortcuts. And you can put it on any subject matter. It is cracking and does not hit the mark. And you've got the video, so new starters can come in, see the video. So it's time set. So what you get is you get the manual handling vehicle, one of the biggest causes. Christian's going to be talking about slip, trips, falls. Sometimes them together is normally 2/3 of accidents everywhere. And then you're changing culture. All of a sudden, you're in a much better place. I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours on this stuff, and I'd love to, but I just wanted to give you a brief sort of share the journey we've been on and give you a little bit of advice on how you can look at training and safety training, make it more memorable, lots of fun, have a bit crack with them. You know, you can have the banter with them, but what a difference it makes if you get the subject matter right and you deliver it to the end user.